Hi, I'm Funk McLovin. Subscribe for more essays.
Back here again, can't get enough. Jojo explains some interesting stuff.
Good morning, my name's Jojo. On July 10th, I posted a video called Chihiro Fujisaki, Boy or Girl. In writing the script for the video, I talked to a lot of people who were trans fans of Danganronpa, including myself, who's a fan of Danganronpa, and I sort of came up with an answer to the argument about is Chihiro Fujisaki a boy or a girl. If you haven't watched the original video, then this might not make a lot of sense to you. But basically, the conclusion I came to was Chihiro Fujisaki in canon is a boy. However, there are a lot of people who correctly assume that she has a lot of parallels with trans women, and that causes some problems in the story. Upon sort of reviewing my own work on the script and then posting the video, I didn't really think that what I was saying was particularly controversial, but upon posting it, I've seen some discussions on it on Reddit, on Twitter, and especially in the YouTube comments section by people who are more involved in the Danganronpa fan base. And what I started to notice was a lot of resistance to this. People are very hard line that Chihiro is a boy. And I didn't really expect that because that's not my own interpretation. But especially on the Reddit, people were like, Chihiro's a boy, that's the end of the discussion. That's it. That's all there is to say. Chihiro can't possibly be trans because Chihiro is a boy, things like that. And that was surprising to me because, first of all, in the video I say Chihiro is a boy in canon, so I'm not arguing with that perspective. And two, there is just a refusal to engage with the other points that I made in the video, even and especially on the YouTube comments section. So, I'm going to read a couple of these comments. The top comment right now on the video is by Teely Mealy, and it says, people tend to forget that in SDR2, alter ego Chihiro literally refers to Chihiro using he, him, and has text on the screen saying not a girl if you look closely. This pretty much epitomizes the arguments that are made on this video. The people are arguing Chihiro is canonically a boy, which is something that I say, I think, a couple times in the video, and I'm not trying to argue that in canon, Chihiro is a boy. That seems to be the only thing that people are capable of arguing with. However, V1G4M1 had a pretty long comment. I'll read it all and then edit it down. I have a few comments about stuff that wasn't mentioned in the video and would love to get your input on it. First of all, coping with bullying. I find it extremely overgeneralizing to say the response of bullying is trying to get manlier rather than becoming a girl. While it might not be the extent of creating a persona, not everyone reacts as you say. Hiding inside a shell can have many different forms, and becoming manly is just one possible outcome. While becoming stronger from hardship is definitely a good outcome, it's not what always happens. I kind of agree with this. I think that they're right, that I kind of viewed it as the Chihiro's behavior as going against the norm, but there certainly could be an argument that, Chihiro just chose this to do it. I think that, unfortunately for this person, this, again, it doesn't address, it addresses Chihiro as a person and not a concept, and we're going to get into that more in a little while, but let me read the rest of the video, or the comment. Additionally to that, let's say Chihiro actually is not trans, which I personally believe, but before anything else, I don't mind other people's headcanons, I just dislike it when people insist it's the canon. This is fine, it's not the canon, and that kind of is the problem to me, so that's fine, I agree with this person. Isn't it incredibly dismissive just to make someone trans who doesn't fit your own narrative? Isn't that pretty much exactly the same thing trans people themselves don't want, to get assigned a gender they aren't? Yes, it is. Again, this is sort of treating Chihiro like a person, and Chihiro is not a person, it's a fictional character. It is dismissive to make someone trans who isn't to fit your own narrative. But Chihiro is not she's not someone. She's a construct. She's a fictional character. If Chihiro is a real person, then I would be making a video that did not ask, is Chihiro a boy or a girl? I would be saying Chihiro is a boy. If Chihiro is a real person who wanted to be a boy and present as a boy, this would not be made. But Chihiro is not a person. Chihiro is a written character. And that's kind of the crux of my argument. Continuing. From all Danganronpa I saw so far, including Alter Ego's appearance in 2 with the not female tag, I always thought that Chihiro's wish was to be able to be himself, but not to be bullied for it. He didn't like that he had to hide who he was. He wanted to change and get strong enough to withstand the bullying. That's why his alter ego that he worked on before Monokuma's Motive came out had this written in it as well. Again, this is treating Chihiro like a person. This is sort of, I know that people aren't intending to do this, but it's sort of like avoiding the issue when you treat Chihiro like a person. It's like, responding to my argument with, well, Chihiro said they were a boy, so we should respect that, is shutting down a conversation about fictional characters in media. This isn't a conversation about how Chihiro presents, and I might have, fucked up in that way because I titled the video Chihiro Fujisaki, Boy or Girl. If you want a definitive answer to that, then it's boy. The point of the video was more to examine why presenting as a boy, as a fictional character, is a problem. And this person does end, in the end, trans rights rule. I just don't think it's black and white with Chihiro as people make it. It's easy to say that, yeah, the cross-dressing character is actually trans when there can be many reasons behind the behavior. I don't think that people would call Nagisa from Assassination Classroom trans either, and he had a phase where he was wearing a female outfit. I've never seen Assassination Classroom. I can't speak to this other character. So make of that what you will. And he had a phase where he was wearing a female outfit. And I'm not thinking of the scenes during the anime, but the ones in the whole Class E stuff before that even happened. I don't know if that has to do with Assassination Classroom or what. But this is kind of the issue. People they're not taking Chihiro as a character. They're taking Chihiro as a person. Chihiro doesn't have fucking feelings. She's not gonna see my video and she's not gonna see oh man, someone's misgendering me. To be clear, it's horrible to misgender someone in real life. It's horrible to use someone's dead name, etc., etc. But Chihiro Fujisaki is not a person. Chihiro Fujisaki is a fictional character who we should discuss like a fictional character. It's disingenuous to make a bunch of comments that say, well, we should discuss them as if they're a boy and a boy only because they want it. Because Chihiro is canonically a boy. I stated this in the original video, but Chihiro can still be transphobic even if they are male in-game. And that's the point of the original video. And I think the problem here is that I didn't know that naming the video Chihiro Fujisaki, Boy or Girl would create this issue. I don't know if the title is what created the issue. I'm not going to go back and change the title because I think that it's kind of too late for that, but whatever. A male character can still affect trans issues, especially if they're written so close to being trans. That's kind of the crux of the original video. Chihiro is not trans in canon, and that is the problem. That is what is transphobic. You are taking a character who, by all intents and purposes, should be a trans narrative and saying, nope, just kidding, they were secretly a boy all along. And that's kind of what irritates me. Since making the Chihiro video, I made a video called The T Word, which discussed the T slur, which I'm not going to state here. You can watch the video if you want. It's in the card. But what I noticed about this was people are very defensive about the sort of ability for men to present feminine. And I think a lot of that defensiveness is what exists in these arguments. What I see is not something about Chihiro. It's more about maybe a man wants to present in a feminine way but still identify as a man, so they see that narrative reflected in Chihiro, and that's great. If you, like I said in the original video, if you're a cross-dressing boy or if you're a cross-dressing man, I have no problem with that. I think that you should embrace it, and I think that Chihiro is certainly a good example of that narrative. However, that doesn't mean you get to ignore the potentially transphobic issues in that narrative. Once again, I can't overstate this, but Chihiro is not real. We should examine Chihiro as a fictional character and not a real person. It would be disingenuous to otherwise. Chihiro was written by people who presumably are not trans. If they were, whatever. I might get proven wrong on that. I want to cover my ass. But they were written in an environment where, and you can't really write a trans narrative. The issue is that the narrative goes like Chihiro was secretly a boy, and trans people do not want to be interpreted as secretly a boy. That is the whole issue with Chihiro's presentation. Chihiro is not around after the game to clarify their identity, which is why there's so much discussion about this. Chihiro dies, and then her friends decide her gender for her after she's dead. That kind of sucks. You can like Chihiro, and you can like Chihiro as a cross-dresser. That's fine. No one's trying to take that from you. I'm just saying that with that, you have to understand that some trans people also consider Chihiro's narrative part of a larger sort of transphobic sphere of things that happens in media a lot. I mentioned a lot of other examples of this, especially from Japanese media, which has a very different opinion on these issues. I think at the end of the day that someone who commented on my video said it best. Gail Frisbee says, "It's honestly incredible to me when people try to argue that a scene in which a female-presenting character gets their genitals groped and then is posthumously referred to as male from that point on can't be transphobic just because that character calls themselves a boy in other side content later. It's on about the same intellectual honesty as claiming that Quiet from MGS5 isn't really fan service because she totally breathes through her skin, you guys. As it turns out, if you dig deep down into the lore, Chihiro is actually a fictional character, and the same people who wrote the genital investigation scene also wrote the other lines that the character says in-game as well. It's a shocking twist, I know." I think this really encapsulates the point that I was trying to make in the video, which was this is a narrative that has been written by people who are not trans about what is ostensibly a trans woman, but being treated as though Chihiro is secretly a boy. This happens a lot, and people who are not familiar with this might be defensive because they might think that I'm saying, like, I'm trying to cancel Chihiro or cancel Danganronpa. And I'm not saying that at all. Danganronpa is a wonderfully written series. Chihiro Fujisaki is a great character who can be identified with by many different groups. I'm just saying that we have to accept that this exists, that people are complaining about this, and they're not going to be like, their complaints are not going to go away just because you comment on the Chihiro Fujisaki video that Chihiro is actually a boy because Alter Ego said so. That's not the issue. The issue is sort of the broader strokes, and I didn't really understand a lot of the pushback that I got, especially in the YouTube comments. I just would really love to see people like open their eyes a little wider, maybe open their brains a little more, just because Chihiro Fujisaki is an example of transphobia in media doesn't mean that you have to like stop liking her or anything. It just means that we should examine this. We shouldn't be fucking blind to it. So that's about all I had. I wanted to correct a lot of this because personally I was surprised by the amount of pushback that this got. Because I don't know. To me, this is something that is pretty common in media. It's something that myself, who speaks to a lot of trans women, they notice this, and it's very easy to notice. and the amount of people who were unwilling to notice it was kind of, I don't know, it was a visceral reaction in me. Whenever I see something that's defensive, I often get like, immediately try to correct it. And I just want to say, like, if you're a cross-dressing boy who really likes Chihiro, I understand. I can't overstate that enough. Chihiro is written how they were. I'm not saying that trans woman is the only interpretation that Chihiro can have, and I think it's certainly good to have characters who are written like Chihiro in a way that is very sort of kind and charitable. Chihiro was always written as a very intelligent character, and whether she is trans or a crossdresser, it doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, people are going to have other interpretations of media, and there are going to exist people who don't see media the same way you do. And that doesn't immediately mean that they're wrong, and it also doesn't immediately mean that you're wrong. It just means that someone else has a different perspective, and respecting those perspectives is incredible. So thanks to everyone who commented on my video originally, and thanks to everyone who's listening to this. Basically, at the end of the day, again, I can't state this enough, trans rights.